Good morning, everybody. I'm Jenny Cheatham. I'm head of the high school, and it's my honor to welcome each of you to our Shelton Alumni College panel. It's an annual event, one of our favorite events of the year. First, let me start by welcoming all of our panelists here today to share their experience, not only at Shelton School, but also with their particular colleges. We are super proud of our alumni. We're excited to share their experience, not only at Shelton, but in college with you. And we appreciate your time and attention this morning. As I said, this is one of our favorite events, which is why we take time out of our school day to discuss this, to honor those that have walked in this path and been so successful doing so, and to share that experience with those that are still here in high school, so that they can get excited and continue to see such a path of success. And we at Shelton are excited and honored actually to be a part of your path. So thank you for being here. First, let me welcome Miss Debbie Knox. Debbie Knox is our Director of College and Career Advising. She does an amazing job with this event every year. We are thrilled that she will be acting as our host and will be moderating our panel. So at this point, Debbie Knox, I'm going to welcome you and allow you to introduce each of our panelists. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We're so excited that you're here. Welcome, panelists. And I know we have a lot of parents that are joining us this morning, as well as all of our students. So welcome to everyone. We're going to do it a little bit differently this year since we're not in person. So we're going to go one at a time, and I'm actually going to let each of our panelists tell their story, and then we'll move on to the next one. So I'll be introducing them one at a time. We're going to start with Matthew Laza. Matthew Laza is currently attending Texas Tech University in Lubbock, Texas. He graduated from Shelton in 2018. Matthew, can you please share with us your learning difference and tell us a little bit about your path to Texas Tech?
Of course. So basically, my learning differences include dyslexia, ADHD. I also have a speech delay and a hearing delay, but those haven't really stopped me at all from attending Texas Tech. My journey started off with actually taking the ACT. I scored very low on 3 tries, and so at first that was a discouragement, but I kept fighting it. Texas Tech allowed me to do this program called the Tech Transfer Acceleration Program, or TAP for short. And it's not offered to a lot of people. It's only offered to some people that've got really good resumes, and that's the key with it, is you need to have a really good resume. And it basically is a backdoor step into Texas Tech. So you apply and you get in the program, and you're assigned an academic advisor that you report to every week, bi-weekly. It just depends on the person. And then you also enroll with South Plains College down in Lubbock, Texas. And they're the ones that do the classes, they provide the instructors, etc. But the difference is you actually live on the Tech campus. You're giving Texas Tech credentials, a student ID. No one knows that you're part of the TAP program. And TAP is only 1 semester. So the objective is to get a 2.75. If you get that, you're automatically rolled into the Texas Tech population. So I found that it was a really good program to go through, and I was very successful at it. And I was very happy with the results, and I've been excelled very well at Texas Tech so far.
Great. You mentioned that you have to have a good resume. What is a resume exactly?
So basically what a resume is, it's a list of accomplishments, jobs you've had. It's basically a summary of you. So they're not looking for paragraphs. They just want to know, oh, so you've worked here, here, and here at jobs 1, 2, and 3. But you've also been in part of Boy Scouts, your church, your temple or synagogue. You've been part of the community. You've worked at the animal shelter. Oh, you've gotten this award. Oh, and another award. So they're looking for things like that that really defines who your character is. And it's really good for jobs too, because they also look at the same thing. So it's also kind of good practice for getting into college, because colleges also look at your resume, because that's the only thing they've got to see who you are.
So it's basically a listing of all your activities and your clubs and your jobs and things that you've been involved in. Is it important to start building that resume as early as your 9th grade year?
Oh, absolutely. The sooner you can start your resume, the better. They will tell you though to keep your resume to about 1 page, because the thing is when someone looks at your resume, they're gonna just look at it and they're gonna have maybe 3 seconds, and that's gonna tell them, do I want to interview this person or consider them or not? But the earlier you can build that resume and put your big highlights on, the better off you're gonna be.
Great. That's very helpful. Matthew, Texas Tech is known for its Technique Center. Can you tell us what the Technique Center at Texas Tech is and how you have utilized it?
Yes, so the Texas Tech Technique Center, or Techniques for short, is a program for learning disability students, as they call them. We're at Shelton, we're learning difference, which is a better term. Basically, so what it is, it's a add-on service, but it's a tutoring. So you are assigned an academic advisor that you check in with every week, and that first academic advisor is going to be with you your entire career at Technique Center. So my academic advisor is named Brighton White. She's a very good. I've had an honor and privilege to get to know her. Probably be meeting with her in a few weeks at the beginning of the semester. But then you're also assigned a personal tutor that you meet with every day. Usually, per week you meet with them for 5 hours. So that's hour a day, and they basically tutor you in all your classes. So anywhere from intro to marketing to accounting, animal science, you name it. And they're going to help you. They help you structure a tutoring, yeah. They help you structure a studying regimen that you can follow. They'll help you with organize, but then they also help you, as I like to say, fill in the gaps of where you're going wrong with your class. So I don't understand this concept in this class. Can you help me explain it? Can you help me grasp it? And they will. And what I really like about the Technique Center is they make the big college university feel much smaller and more, I can do this. And it's really helped. It's made Texas Tech feel much smaller, more able to get to it. I will say this though, to get into the Technique Center, you have to go through a battery of testing. I know Shelton can do the testing, and then you have to apply to the Student Disability Center. And once you get into the Disability Center, you can apply to the Technique Center, and it's just a questionnaire about how you can utilize the Technique Center and so forth. And then within about a week, 2 weeks, they get back to you. Sometimes there's a wait list like I was on, sometimes there's not. Last I heard this year, there's a little bit of a wait list, but not too bad. But how I've been utilizing it is I've got a set schedule of when I'm meeting with my tutor. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we meet from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we meet from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And on Tuesdays at 3 o'clock, I have my weekly check-in with Brighton. But how I've been utilizing it too is I always go to class and I figure out what do I understand, what do I not understand. And then I take what I don't understand to my session and I'll say, hey, Toby, we went over this concept in class. I really don't understand what's going on. I've asked the professor. He's helping me make a little bit more sense that I'm still confused about. Do you mind re-explaining this to me or show me another approach to it? And they've been very helpful, especially Toby's helped me a lot. And that's kind of been how I've been utilizing it. It works different for other people, just depending on their needs. So you might not need to understand, you just might need help with organizing, and that's absolutely fine. Or you might really just need help, you might be really good at organizing, but you need help understanding and grasping content, and that's totally fine too. So all in all, it's been a really great program, and I'm really looking forward to going back to techniques again this next semester.
Thank you, Matthew. Matthew made a really good point. Every student, and one of the things Shelton does best is help our students understand not only their learning differences, but the type of support that they will need at the next level. So every college is required by law to have a Center for Students with Disabilities or Center for Students with Learning Differences. The Techniques program, and there are other programs across the country that are a bit more comprehensive and offer an additional level of support beyond just the Center for Students with Learning Differences. So every student at Shelton, we suggest that they get comprehensive testing sometime during their sophomore year, so that their testing will then be updated when they do go off to college, and they can apply to the Center for Students with Learning Differences and get the support they need. And Matthew made a good point in that some students will need a great deal of support, and other students may just need a little bit of support with organizational skills. But one of the things that we strive to do is just to help students understand what their needs are when they leave Shelton. So Matthew, thank you so much for that information, and we're very proud of you. You're doing a great job. Thank you. Okay, our next panelist is Haley Thomas. And Haley is currently attending Missouri State University in Springfield, Missouri. She graduated from Shelton in 2016. Haley, could you please tell us about your learning difference and your interesting path to Missouri State?
Yes. So I have ADHD and dyslexia. And my path to Missouri State's been pretty crazy. When I graduated from Shelton in 2016, I decided to go to Santa Fe University of Art and Design in New Mexico as a BFA acting major. And I loved it there, had a great year. And at the end of the year, they were like, hey, the college is now going to be closing down. So I had to find a new college pretty much. And because of the timing of when they told us, we had to, like with an acting major, you have to audition for programs, and it's a very long process. So I could just find any program that was still open, or I could wait basically and wait for the next year and then reapply. And that's what I ended up doing. So I came back home for a year and went to Collin College, did acting work in the community and did some films and things like that. And then reapplied to schools, re-auditioned, and then I found Missouri State, and through that long process, and now I've been there for 3 years. This is my last year, graduating at the end of the year. And it's been a pretty crazy up and down road.
So it sounds like you've had to overcome a lot of adversity with all the auditioning and searching for schools and finding the right fit. How do you think you're going to use that moving forward? And tell us about what's happening this spring for you as you begin to figure out what the next steps are.
Yeah. Well, honestly, when Santa Fe closed originally, I, thought it was the end of the world. I thought everything was crashing down. I loved it there, and I just didn't, it was just unforeseen and really scary. And especially with the times we're living in now, it's all just unpredictable. And I would say with my college journey, that's something that I've really learned from, is that I've learned how to adapt very quickly, which I think is a very important skill, not only for the world, but for my industry, because it's so up and down and you never know what's going to happen and you're constantly auditioning. And so I think I've definitely gotten a tougher layer of skin because of it. Not in a bad way. I think I've grown in, a very good way from it. But I think adaptability has been the biggest learning experience in not fearing the unknown, because I think it can be really scary when things like that happen. But I think when things like that happen, as long as you go about it in a way of looking towards the future and looking optimistically, you can basically accomplish any goal that you want to. And then, this spring, my school, it's a professional acting training program. So we have like a very great faculty of teachers and stuff. And basically they give us the connections to be able to do an industry showcase. So usually it's live. Usually we go to LA and we audition in front of agents. We send out a ton of invitations to different agencies and agents that we are interested in personally. And they come and they watch us, and then we have a little meet and greet, and we try to get representation pretty much. But since we can't go to LA right now, we're doing it via Zoom, which is actually going to be a lot better in the long run, because we're actually getting a professional company that does like really amazing work to film our showcase in like a multicam sitcom kind of way. And so we're going to be filming our scenes, and then it's going to be uploaded, and then people can come watch it, and then we'll have like a Zoom meet and greet, which will actually expand our range of audience a lot more, and we'll be able to reach a lot more people, which is really exciting. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, and that's just one of the other things. It's like, you know, it was awful when Santa Fe closed down, but it was also like, well, now I have all these amazing opportunities at this new place. And it's just, I think seeing the glass is half full instead of half empty has really helped me over the last few years. And yeah.
It's great. What do you hope to do in the future?
Just career-wise?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge film buff. I've always loved film. I love acting for theater as well, but pretty much since I've gotten to college, I've done a good amount of theater, but I've been very focused on film. Okay. And I've gotten to build my film resume a lot, and I just know that's my passion. So I'm hoping that with the connections I can make through Showcase and, you know, this next year after I graduate, I can move to LA and, you know, just start hitting the ground and be a working actress and, you know, basically just get paid to do what I love. So
would you say Shelton Theater kind of inspired your love of acting? And
oh, 100%. I knew when I was like 5 years old that I wanted to be an actress. And then whenever I was in middle school and I met Miss Hughes, I don't know, I, you know, put a lot of work and dedication into it, and she believed in me. And I don't know, just everything that she taught me prepared me for, you know, what I'm doing now. And I still think back on all of those things. And I mean, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without Miss Hughes or the theater department or Mr. King, you know, any of them, just because they gave me like the confidence to, I think, pursue what I wanted to do, but they also really know what they're doing. And so they gave me the skills as well.
That's great. Thank you, Haley. Super proud of you. And one more semester, you're almost there. It's great. Okay, our next panelist, Evan DeLoggy. Evan is currently attending Syracuse University in Syracuse, New York. He graduated from Shelton in 2017. Evan, can you share with us your learning difference, your path to Syracuse, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, hi Debbie, great to be here. Hello everyone. So my learning difference is dyslexia. My path to Syracuse was rather simple, I like to say, but it was difficult in terms of I'm a film major and I had to figure out my film application and all the little portfolio work that you do for each school is different. They give you different kind of terms to go on of what they want to see. But I actually applied early decision because once I visited, I felt like that was the place for me. And so it was December that I got in, and I was super excited about that. And I think that a lot of that goes out to my portfolio and not really my GPA. It was good, but I think my portfolio really pushed me over the top.
Can you explain what early decision is in the application process?
Yeah, so you can kind of sign a form that says if I get into this school, I will put all other schools away and I will come here. It's kind of committing to that school to give them a little bump of I know that they know that you want to go here.
Mm-hmm. And Evan, were you involved in the film department here at Shelton?
I was. it was definitely one of the things when I moved to Shelton sophomore year of high school. Um, it was the best thing that I jumped into. It definitely inspired my love for film, Mr. Samuelson and everyone involved, and all the kids that I worked with and the community that I built through that.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've asked Evan to share some information with us. As you know, a lot of students struggle with stress, anxiety, depression um, in high school, on into college. And Evan, can you kind of talk about your personal experience with that and how you sought help?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, as we know, stress, anxiety, depression, these are all things that everybody deals with at any given time, all on different levels. I handled it pretty well at first for the first couple of years. Senior year was definitely the most challenging, and I fell into somewhat of a depressive cycle. And so I ended up reaching out to some of my professors, some of my close friends, when I realized that I like needed help beyond myself. And that was kind of the scariest part for me, was just admitting to myself that I needed to reach out to other people in order to kind of get back to a good place and to continue with my degree and my life. So yeah, I would say never be afraid to ask for help, especially because being in a new place can be very scary. And even after a couple of years of being in a new place, it can feel kind of jarring when you're going through something bigger.
Yeah. So now how do you manage it now? What strategies have you used now that you've recognized it, you've sought help for it? What are you doing now?
When I go back to school, I have meetings, I need set up meetings with I'm going to have a counselor specific in the school. And then through our Office of Disability Resources, ODR is what we call it there, I will have somebody to chat with once a week or every other week or something like that to make sure that I'm on track and I'm doing all right.
That's good. And I think you talked too about your exercise and diet.
All of that. I'm getting myself on more of a schedule so that I can focus on my mental health and not just school.
So the schedule seems to really help.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
balance of everything.
Yeah. I
Definitely.
so appreciate you talking about that because I think, oftentimes people think there's a stigma related to mental health. And I think the more that we talk about it and share it with others, the more that all of us can recognize that we all at times struggle and that there is support and there is help out there.
And I realized I was struggling through a lot of conversations with friends opening up to me, and that eventually got to the point where I knew people that had gotten themselves help, and that has kind of pushed me to go get the help myself and more and what I needed.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So when are you planning on graduating?
I'm planning on graduating this. They just moved our semester back, so hopefully it looks like this June I'll be graduating.
Awesome. And what do you hope to do when you graduate?
I hope to, I hope to move out to LA and jump into the film industry. I have an internship lined up for this semester that I hope pushes into some kind of connections out there that I can work and figure out how to get my foot in the door film wise.
Well, maybe you and Haley one day will connect and you'll be filming Haley as she's acting.
That would be awesome.
That would be great. Well, Evan, thank you so much. So proud of you. All right, our next panelist, Lauren Patton. Lauren is currently attending the University of Oklahoma in Norman, Oklahoma. She graduated from Shelton in 2019. Lauren, can you share with us your learning difference and your path to OU?
So I have dyslexia, and I found that out like in the 5th grade, which for a lot of kids, it's kind of later. But I didn't make it to Shelton until I was a freshman in high school. And I know that's not the story you want to hear, but going out of college or out of Shelton, I knew that I was very nervous just because I figured going to OU, that was the only college that I actually wanted to go to. And they're a big university, 4 years, lots of students, Greek life, all that fun stuff. But I knew that me as a student, coming from Shelton and then going into a place like that where they don't focus on learning difference kids. They're just like, we'll help you as much as we can type thing. I wanted to go to a community college for at least my first year, to get my basics done and to kind of get used to college, like making my own schedule, knowing what classes that I need to take for my specific degree, living on my own. I have to get up on time. I have to make sure my homework's done. I have to feed myself, all that kind of stuff.
So you actually moved away from home and moved to Oklahoma and went to Oklahoma City Community College, correct?
Yeah, I did. When I turned 18 in like the July after I graduated, I moved to Moore, Oklahoma, which is a city between OKC and Norman, because I talked to Mrs. Knox and Mr. Knox about if it made a difference going to a community college near the college that they wanted to transfer to. And they both said that classes wise, it's easier to transfer and you get used to where you're going to be living for the next 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
So some students with community college, there are community colleges everywhere. And for some students, they want to stay home for a year or two and just kind of get used to college. Mm-hmm. Some students want to go to community college, but want to experience that away from home experience so they can move to a community near a college that they eventually want to transfer into. So did you have to have, what did you have to have in order to transfer to OU? Because now you're considered a transfer student rather than a first year freshman. So what did you have to get accepted to OU?
So one thing that also made me want to do a community college for my first year was the fact that the OU would not look at my ACT score, and I did average. Let's just say I did average. I didn't do great. So when they told me, or when Mrs. Knox told me they're not going to look at your ACT score because that really shouldn't matter, I was like, okay, that's the path I want to do. Next, all I had to do was learn what I had to have from OCCC to OU, which was a 2.75 GPA and 24 transferable credits, which for me, I did 12 my first semester, 15 my second semester, and then considering I was living in Oklahoma, I have been doing summer classes, so I got like 30 hours before my sophomore year of college.
And so at that point, they don't even consider your high school GPA or test scores.
No, they don't care about what your GPA was in college and what classes you took.
Right. So for many students, this is a great starting point. In order to get accepted to a community college, basically you have to have a high school diploma. And then from there, it's a launching point to where you want to go. So great job, Lauren. What type of student would you recommend this path for?
I would I wasn't scared, but I was really nervous about me as a student going into a big university because I knew the classes were huge. I would get accommodations and I would be able to apply for those and people would notice me and they'd talk to me about my accommodations, but it was still very nerve-wracking and intimidating for me. So I wanted kind of a medium point from Shelton to college because high school is a lot different than college, but Shelton does prepare you as like best as they can, which is amazing. And they really did prepare me for a lot. Even for community college, they prepared me. And so just going from Shelton to a community college and learning, like living on my own as well and handling my own business and having to apply for my own accommodations and go set up the meeting with the advisors, all of that really taught me how to be an adult and helped me get used to the whole college feel, like assignments, professors, all of that. And then moving to OU, that really helped.
So probably a student who would like to have kind of a slower transition into that four-year college experience.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Good job, Lauren. Oh, I know what I was going to ask you. What's your major?
Sports management.
Okay. And so what will you want to do with that once you graduate? What's your plan?
I would love to either be an agent for athletes or represent teams or players or like work with them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. We appreciate you being here. Okay, next up is Lauren's brother, Nathan. Speaking of student athletes, Nathan Patton is currently attending the University of Dallas as a graduate student. He actually graduated from University of Dallas a year ago. Is that correct, Matthew? I mean, is that correct, Nathan?
In May of 2020. So
May of 2020. So now he's working on his graduate degree. And Nathan, can you tell us about your learning difference and your path to the University of Dallas?
absolutely. So I have mixed receptive disorder, which is like a form of ADD. Basically, like I can't retain a lot of information. Like say for in a book, I can't retain all the information or all the little details in it. Same for like long, word problems, stuff like that. So my senior year, I actually was going to go to Auburn University, but then late in the game of May of 2016, I got offered to go play baseball for the University of Dallas. And I just, love the sport so much. So I decided to go play ball there for 4 years. And luckily this is kind of a positive of COVID. They gave us an extra year. The NCAA gave us an extra year to play. So I decided to go ahead and get my master's in finance there. I graduated in August with my master's and decided to play ball as well. So that's been, ever since then, I've been here and just working.
That's fantastic. He said that late in the game, he decided it was, I love to tell the story. It was 20 minutes before he actually graduated when he told me he was going to play baseball at University of Dallas. So that was kind of fun. All right, Nathan, being a student athlete takes a great deal of time. Several of our student athletes decide to play at the college level. And then after about a semester or maybe two, they decide that it's just too much and they give up their sport. And maybe aren't so happy with where they are. What was it, or did you ever consider dropping your sport? And how did you persevere and continue to play even on through now your 5th year?
Yeah, it's definitely a grind. I mean, when people told me that it's going to be a busy lifestyle, they weren't kidding. You got to deal with going to a different university, especially when you're going to play a sport. Like you practice 6 hours a day, then you go work out, and then you got to eat, and then you got to, there's school, social life, all kinds of stuff. I would say like about 2 years into it, my sophomore year, that was like my best collegiate year so far. And then I really kind of like pushed me to be like, okay, I really want to finish this out, because I kind of planned on like transferring to a different college, whether that be to like Auburn if I didn't want to play baseball anymore, or if I just wanted to go to a better, like, I guess, competitive college, like a Division II or like Division I. But for me, I just fell in love with it. I was very like unsure of how like I would fall in love with the university. I toured it once, and it was like there were no students on campus. There was literally just the baseball field, and like that's all I toured. But you really just gotta ask yourself, and I know it's a really big question, especially when you're 18. I was like, is this something that I want to do for 4 or 5 years? Just ruling my life. Just like that's my priority is baseball, or like your sport you're playing. You got to put social life on the back burner, and then you got to focus just on school, because if you don't pass, you don't play. So that's the biggest thing. But yeah, I would say you really got to find out if it's worth it doing. Like you spend all this time, like 14, 15 years practicing, training for the sport that you want to play in college, or if you want to be done in high school, you want to be done in high school. But if you are kind of half and half, you definitely really got to find out with all that training you've done for your entire life is, worth going for another 4 or 5 years.
So it almost sounds like it's more of a mental commitment as well.
For sure, yeah, I would say it takes a toll, like mentally for sure, also physically, but definitely mentally.
Did you create a schedule for yourself?
Yeah, so it was kind of tough my first year, just to figure out like all the ins and outs of my university, especially like your first year in college. You want to go have fun, all that fun stuff. Um, but definitely had to figure out a schedule for myself, like class wise. And then just like if I literally had to schedule out times to eat. Like it was so sporadic. If I didn't stick to that, I just knew that my whole day was kind of messed up in a way.
Did your sport require that you show up for specific tutoring times or study times?
If you were below a certain GPA per semester, you did, and they had, and my university had tutors for every class, pretty much around the clock. So it was relatively easy to get a tutor.
Okay. Well, Mr. Knox and I look forward to getting to watch you play baseball again this spring. And congratulations on your upcoming graduation in August with a master's degree in finance. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you. I don't know why I keep saying Nathan, good grief. Okay, next up, Harper McKenzie. Harper is currently attending Emerson College in Boston, Massachusetts. She graduated from Shelton in 2017. Harper, can you please share with us your learning difference and your path to Emerson?
Did I unmute? Yes, okay. Thank you. So I actually identify as disabled in like a broad sense because I do have dyslexia and ADHD, but I'm also autistic and have sensory processing disorder. So when you kind of put all those things together, I, sort of come to identify as disabled. And that's actually like a huge part of my story at Emerson, which like I'll get into, but I always knew like all through high school that I wanted to go to a small liberal arts college in the Northeast and I wanted to study creative writing there. And so when I found Emerson, it just checked like every box that I had. And so I knew that I wanted to like make it work and I wanted to go there. And I knew it was going to be challenging. I mean, being a dyslexic writer has its own challenges and, moving across the country to go to college is always going to be challenging, but like, especially for me as an autistic person, it had a lot of challenges. But, I had been at Shelton for 10 years and Shelton really taught me that, I could do whatever I set out to do, that it might be, challenging, it might be different for me, but there was like no shame in different. And like, it was possible to achieve whatever you set your mind to if you gave yourself like the chance to be successful and work hard to find the ways to be successful in your own, way, attending to your own needs. And so, got to Emerson and like day one, even before day one, I connected with our student accessibility service office, got my housing accommodations that I needed for my autism, got all my academic accommodations. I've been working with the same guy at that office now for 4 years. Every semester I get my accommodation letters, talk to professors, set up those meetings so that we can really figure out a way to create a successful, class experience for me. Also my freshman year, I got connected with our counseling center and got set up with a therapist. I was in the first year experience class my first semester. I just like really tried to use my resources in like every way possible, which is like such an important thing because your resources, your accommodations, all that kind of stuff, it's there for a reason. And there's like no shame in using any of it. In fact, for me, like it was really empowering to, find those resources and sort of get connected and find a way to have, a successful college experience so that I could get everything that I wanted out of it in the end.
Yeah, it sounds like you got very involved in your campus life. How has that helped you by getting involved not only with disability services, but also different organizations?
Yeah, so I sort of have this story of when I got to Emerson that I was really focused on creative writing, and then when I got there, when I started connecting to the campus, to the community, to the services, I really realized that there was more that I was passionate about besides writing. I was evolving as a person because I had so much support and was really set up to be successful, and I realized that I also wanted to study disability studies and that I was really passionate about that identity that I had. And and I wanted to learn more about it. And I wanted to, you know, find a way to have my education support my passion of, you know, writing about disability, because that's what I want to do. I want to write novels and, you know, other forms of media that are about, you know, disability and my experiences with that. And so I actually, my sophomore year, worked with my academic advisor to create my own major that blends creative writing and disability studies, so I can do just that. And again, like as I was really getting into those courses about disability and, you know, psychology and health and all that kind of stuff, I was getting connected with other students who identify as disabled as well, and, you know, really, you know, getting into that community. And we all kind of realized that like we were connecting, but there was like no space for us to do that. Like we didn't have an organization or a club or anything like that that was for our community. You know, we had all sorts of orgs at Emerson for different groups and identities, but none for disability. And so we were like, let's change that. And we actually worked together to create an org. And now we have this org. It's called Access Student Disability Union. I'm the president, and we're like a really thriving org where we do advocacy work, you know, making our campus more accessible. We work with student accessibility services to make sure people are aware of what they offer and like how to go through those processes. We have a weekly radio show. Like we do all sorts of really cool stuff. But I think like the core of it all and the heart of it all is the community that we've built. And like having that community has been one of the really important things for me in my college experience, because, you know, we have this community where we can like share our experiences and like talk to each other and work on projects together, and we, you know, joke around and like laugh about our experiences, but we also like commiserate and like help each other through the hard stuff with like tips and tricks and just general support. And we just have this like shared experience that for us is all around, you know, disability. And, you know, coming from Shelton, like that's a space where like everyone has an LD of some kind. We can all sort of connect on that and be there for each other in that way. And, you know, when you get to college, there can be kind of this culture shock because, you know, as some people have talked about, like it's not like that at most colleges. And so for me, I was really craving a way to like get back to having that shared community with shared experiences. And for me, like that was getting connected with the disability community at my school. And that was really like healing and fulfilling for me. But I think it's really important to remember that like that could be anything. Like that might be the disability community for any of you students that are listening. You know, I would empower you and encourage you to like, you know, look into those spaces and see where you can find connection there, because that might be a really cool thing for you. But it could also be like anything. It could be your sports team or, you know, your sorority. It could be like a different identity of yours, like your gender or your race or whatnot. Like there's all sorts of ways to connect with your school and with your community and like find people that you have those shared experiences with, which can be like a really wonderful thing. So you don't feel so alone and you feel like you have people you can like go through life with and that you're truly connected. And I think that's one of the really beautiful things about getting to college and starting to really like live life on your own, because you're not on your own.
Yeah, not on your own, but not on your own, because you
Exactly.
find that support, you find that community. And depending on the size of the college, there are hundreds of organizations that you can be a part of. And you may not find them right at first. You might have to try several, but I would imagine, especially during this time of COVID, and I think about our freshmen who are experiencing virtual learning, having to find ways to connect virtually with some of those clubs and groups. But I'm sure it's helpful for you now, especially during this time when you're so isolated, to still have that community to connect to. So we are super proud of you for bringing that to your university and offering that support. And I know we have others that are at Emerson who are probably benefiting from that support as well. So thank you, Harper. Okay, so our final panelist today is Kat Freudenthal. And Kat is currently attending Stephen F. Austin University in Nacogdoches, Texas. And she's also serving in the Texas Army National Guard. She graduated from Shelton in 2018. Kat, please share with us your learning difference and your unique path to Stephen F. Austin.
Hi, so I'm dyslexic. I'm pretty severely dyslexic. I struggle with a lot of things with it, but I don't let it affect me. So with my story, my senior year, I decided to join the Texas National Guard, which is a subsection of the Army that you're a part of. You're like owned by the state, but also by your federal government. So I swore in senior year, and that meant that summer I was going to go to basic training. So I went to basic training, and that's about 3 months long. And that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. It was, you know, the whole thing with drill sergeants yelling at you. It's the whole experience. And it was rough, but I think through that experience, I became the person I wanted to. Like, you go through so much growth and so much change. It's a hard, but it's an amazing experience, just basic training in itself. So after basic, I became a soldier instead of just a trainee. And then I went to AIT, which is your job training. So in the National Guard, I'm a combat medic. So I went to Fort Sam Houston in Texas, and I went to combat medic school for about 18 weeks. So the first half is EMT. So I actually got my EMT license, and I can use that in the civilian world. After that, I got to do the combat medic side of it, which is really cool. I enjoyed every second of it. Through this experience, I've got to be able to do things that I probably, I wouldn't be able to if I wasn't in the Texas National Guard. So I loved the training. And then once I graduated in February. So the whole process was about 6 months, my whole training process. Then when I got back, I went to community college for a few months. And then, because I got back in February, so I did a few community college classes until I applied to SFA, Stephen F. Austin, in the fall. And then I went to, my first semester was, when was it? Last fall of Stephen F. Austin, and I'm a nursing, I'm getting my major in nursing. So I still go to the National Guard once a month, and I do training, and I get to do amazing stuff. I've done stitches. I've been able to give shots. I mean, so many cool. It's been the most amazing experience of my life. So I get to do that on top of college and the whole experience here at Stephen F. Austin. And I'm also in ROTC, so a lot of Army. And but I'm loving Stephen F. Austin. I'm loving college and being a part of the Army and going to school and having that life together.
Okay, a couple of follow-up questions, because you mentioned some terms that some of our students may not be familiar with.
Right.
So basic training is, what is basic training?
Basic training is, so it's the Army's initial training for a civilian to become a soldier. So you go in, you leave, you're civilian. That's what we say, you're a civilian, you come in, and for the next 10 weeks, you become a soldier. We wake up super early, work out all the time, you're hungry all the time. And it's the iconic drill sergeant yelling in your face training. And after that, on your last week, you actually become a soldier, and they recognize you as a soldier, and it's a really great experience.
Tell them what the highlight every day was for you during basic training.
Yes. So in basic training, you really gotta, it's rough. So for me, the happiest moment in basic training, and I don't think anything has brought me joy like this in basic training. If I could get like a peanut butter banana sandwich, was the most exciting thing. Like, nothing has made me happy like a peanut butter banana sandwich in basic training has made me happy, because like that's the way it is. Like, you don't get enough food, you're working all the time, it's really hard, and you're going to be pushed mentally and physically further than you ever thought.
And so you said you're trained now to be an EMT. What is an EMT?
Yes. So there's EMTs, around like driving the ambulances. So actually, as a combat medic, we go through training, and they train us as EMTs, part of it. So I get that license on the civilian side. Like, that's something that I can take from my military training and use on the civilian side, which is great, because that's a really expensive class. If I was to do that on my own, that would be several $1,000s. to get that training and become an EMT, but through the Army, I was able to get that.
So you're trained to be a first responder.
Yes.
And then combat medic. You said combat medic. What is a
Yes.
combat medic?
So that's my job in the Army. There's a bunch of different jobs, but I decided on combat medic because I was always interested in the medical field. So like I said, now I'm doing nursing. So I decided to be a combat medic. And we're pretty much the doctors, the medics of the Army. So if somebody's sick, they come to us. If somebody gets hurt, they come to us. And I just get to do medical treatments and really get to live that life and be a medical person in the National Guard.
Okay. And final question. You said you have severe dyslexia. Tell us about a challenge that you were faced with your dyslexia and not having accommodations in your testing, and why you didn't have accommodations.
Yeah. So in the Army, unfortunately, they don't really give accommodations to people with disabilities. So that was terrifying for me. In AIT, which is where I become a combat medic. Sorry, I'm using all these terms that everybody doesn't know. So they don't recognize it, and we would have to take tests that were timed, and they had all these big medical words, and that was terrifying to me because I'm used to getting extra time, getting a reader, and that's what I'm comfortable with. So that was my first challenge out of Shelton and with my disability. But I studied for for the test really hard, trying to recognize those words that might show up on the tests that would confuse me. And I took my time. I was always the last person in the room, but luckily, I'm really severely dyslexic, but I was able to persevere and do it. It was a challenge, but I was able to do it. And that kind of proved to me that, I can do it. I could not I could be given no accommodations and still be successful just by working really hard and trying. So going into college, that gave me that confidence was just so important.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciated the confidence that I got from that.
And are you utilizing accommodations in college now?
Yes, I am. I use my accommodations to get extra time on my exams and get a reader. Also, being able to get the professor's notes has been a huge help to me. That's definitely something that I recommend is you're with disabilities, you can get your professor's notes or you can get somebody else's notes. And I use that in every single class.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you, Kat. That was very helpful information. So, all right. So now that we've heard from each of the panelists, I just want to follow up with a couple of questions, and then we will finish out our alumni panel for the year. One question I wanted to ask a few of you is, how did Shelton prepare you for college? And kind of what the strategies are that you're using that Shelton taught you. So, Evan, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that it gave me two things. One, Shelton gave me a lot of great organizational skills. The way that I can set up my workflow and set up my day and all that structure is great. I think that the biggest thing that I took away from Shelton that has helped me is the ability to advocate for myself in the classroom. So what I'll do is I usually have some Syracuse classes for film majors are about 15 people max. So it kind of does still feel like you're as close knit as a Shelton classroom, which I really liked about the program. So that made it also kind of easy, but I talk to the professors at the beginning of the semester. And then if I start struggling in the class, I go to office hours. Office hours are probably the most crucial thing to attend if you think that you're not doing well and you don't understand something. Because I've found that most of the time when you come from a certain point with your learning difference, then they'll meet you with other tools to help you get through the class because they want you to succeed.
What are office hours?
Office hours, there's times during the week that the professor schedules that their office, or if they don't have an office, the classroom is open.
Okay.
And right now, office hours are virtually for some, and some are having it. But
So it's kind of like advisory for our students where they can go meet with a teacher.
yeah, you can go meet one-on-one and you can talk about your performance in the class or a project if you have a question, or it's just their doors open at that time. So utilize it when you can.
Okay, good. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to say about how Shelton prepared you for this next level? Matthew?
Yeah, one thing that Shelton did really prepare me for, and I still use to this day, is the binder system and staying organized. I know that to some of you guys, it might seem like a pain, but when you go to college, you're going to have a lot of homeworks, tests, projects that you're going to need to use to study, and you're going to have so many things that go on that you need to be organized. And the binder system, I still use to this day. So I'll have my homework to do, followed by what's completed, and then I've got tabs that I'll put in, homework and tests that I've already done so I can restudy for my exams. Granted, I have had to update it some sense to the digital kind of age for the computer, just because a lot of work that's done today is done through online and through Blackboard. So I rarely have to submit something in paper. Usually when I submit it through Blackboard, which is our equivalent to the dashboard at Shelton. So it's really just kind of been keen, and that's kind of how Shelton's really helped me succeed. And Shelton's also helped me by speaking up for myself, going and seeing the professors and teachers. Hey, I don't understand this, and Shelton really has given me the confidence. And if they didn't help me gain the confidence for that day, I probably wouldn't be doing so well in college as I am today. And so just utilize that. And I know that times seem like it's, redundant and Shelton's keep drilling it in, but trust me, they are helping you. It's for your benefit.
So just overall, I would say what I've heard from all of you, the theme of your success, because all of you have been super successful, I would say would be your time management, your organizational skills, your ability to access support when you need it from not only disability services, but from your professors and your friends and your family. But overall, I would say that all of you, the number one thing that has allowed you to be as successful as you are is your unbelievable work ethic. So all of you just have phenomenal work ethic. You've tried hard, you work hard, you don't quit, you don't give up. And that is just so impressive. And we're so, so proud of you. Is there anything you would like to say, a final word on thinking back to your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior self in high school? Is there anything that you wish you would have known then that you know now? Any quick tips that you might want to share? Anybody? Haley? Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, there, like I said before, like there's just so much unknown that can happen, but you genuinely will be okay. Like no matter what, you will be okay. And I mean, I even had a crisis of faith at one point in my college journey of like, is this even what I want to do? Which was crazy because I've never thought that in my entire life. And in those moments, I was like, even if I didn't do this, which I am, and I love it, and I'm going to keep doing this, like I would be okay. And it's like, I think just the scariest thing is, especially with the unpredictability of the world right now, it's crazy, but I can tell you as somebody that has been through all the ups and downs, like you will get through it. And I had so much anxiety when I was in high school, and I wish somebody would have told me, like, like no matter what happens, like it'll be fine. You know what I mean? If you push yourself and like you just keep pushing yourself, honestly.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that's a perfect way for us to end. We're almost at the hour mark. And I just think that's such a great way to end. You're going to be okay. You're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, but you've got support out there. You know how to seek help when you need it. You know how to advocate for yourself, and just know that it will be okay. So thank you all so much for being with us this morning. Your words were just so inspiring, and we're so proud of you. And please know that we're here for you, and we hope to welcome you back someday soon so you can see this awesome new space that you helped create. And parents and students, thank you so much for being here. Every teacher has a list of our panelists' email addresses. So students, if you have questions, or teachers, if you have questions or follow-up, please feel free to reach out to these panelists, and I'm sure that they would be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So thank you again for everyone being here this morning, and we wish you a happy new year. Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did a great job, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Ms. Knox, thank you for all of your work. Always, as we've said, one of our favorite events. Our parents, thank you for joining us. In particular, our 8th grade parents, thank you for being here today. We appreciate your participation and joining us so that you could hear from our students. They say it best, and we are glad that you all were here as well. So thank you so much for joining us. Everyone have a wonderful day.